Hi everyone, for my Stackathon, I built a game called Plantaingrams, which is basically Bananagrams. For those who aren't familiar with Bananagrams, it's a game where you play Scrabble, but it's like real time, and you keep resetting your board, and then once you have a valid board, you say peel, and then all the players playing in that game draw from a pool of tiles, and the goal is to eventually clear out the pool of tiles and then be the first person to have a complete board. So in Bananagrams, you usually start with something like 7 tiles. And for this example, I have 12 players to just try and end the game quickly. On the left screen is just going to be a second player, and I'm going to play on the right screen. So here I can just drag and drop different tiles onto the board, and I'm going to try and get a valid board. Once I do this, I can hit peel, and what that's going to do is going to give me a tile and a tile to everyone participating in the game. And then, let's see, I can keep going. I can keep going and peeling, and if I get a tile that I don't like this W, I can also dump it. And what happens is this W goes back into the pool, and then you get 3 tiles from the pool in exchange. So here I can do this. And then I'm going to check how many tiles are in the pool. So there's 22. So this game is almost over. So here at this point, there are only 10 tiles remaining. And because there are 12 players, the next player who peels, or the first player who completes their board wins the game. So this peel button turns into Plantaingrams. So if you click this, this player wins, and then it sends, it emits a action that tells everyone else that this game is over. A few other things that are involved in this game are one, tile movements. So one thing that might happen with a non-dynamic board is that you might end up with tiles on the first row, and then if you want to put more tiles in the first row, you'd have to rearrange everything. So one thing I did was I made it so that you could shift your board around a little bit to kind of fix that. Another thing that I added was word validation. So in this example, the tiles that I have are not cleared. So if I say peel, that's not a valid peel, so I'll get a warning. Another form of validation is if I don't have a valid board orientation, which means if it's not in a crossword format. So here this D is kind of sticking out. So if I try and peel, I'm going to get a warning that says your board is not in a valid crossword format. And then lastly, I also incorporated word validation. So if one of the words is not a real word according to the Scrabble dictionary, it's also going to error out, and it's going to say NYTD is not a valid word. And then one other thing that I did as well was I incorporated a new rooms, so different people can be playing different games at once. In terms of technical challenges, word validation was pretty difficult. So one thing that you had to do was make sure that your board was oriented in the correct way. And the way that I ended up tackling it was via recursion. And then lastly, another challenging part of word validation was checking if all the words are valid. And that involved first going through the board and adding all of the words in that board to an array, and then looping through that array to make sure that the word is valid. And that's Plantaingrams. Thanks.